BBC News.
We delve into the archives at Penguin Books in half an hour and find out how a man who left school at 16 went on to revolutionise the publishing industry and change the way the nation reads. Michael Morpurgo, Nick Hornby and Sue Townsend, among others, discuss Penguin, Puffin and the paperback revolution at 11:30. First on Radio 4 Crossing Continents, Christopher Landau explores the explosive growth of Christianity in China, with millions flocking to the official Protestant and Catholic churches.
A few decades ago, this sound would have been unimaginable here in China because it's the sound of Bibles being printed in a factory sanctioned by the government in Nanjing.
Every month, we produce 1 million copies of Bible. The production capacity is 12 million Bibles per year.
You can feel the heat of the machine here, and the paper is moving so fast through the press you can't even see what's on the page. In a room the size of several football pitches, reams of paper are printed, cut and bound. This is the world's largest Bible printing press. In the factory's gleaming lobby, Shehong Yu from the Amity Press shows me examples of the Bibles that have been printed since the Communist Cultural Revolution's total suppression of religious activity was eased from the late 1970s.
The churches were banned during the Cultural Revolution. When the religious freedom was adapted, there was a great need for Bibles. So the Christian leaders in China had the far vision of having our own factory to produce enough and quality Bibles for China.
In the display case in front of us is a commemorative Bible marking the 50 millionth Bible to come off the production line here in December 2007. What do you think the impact has been?
More people are seeking for the spiritual need. More people are seeking for the Word of God. And we are happy to see that increase. And we are proud that we are able to meet the increasing need.
And here at the end of the production line, one or two every second, Bible after Bible after Bible, printed in China for the Chinese market, ready for distribution and sale. In this week's edition of Crossing Continents, I'll be exploring the astonishing growth of Christianity in China and asking why the government seems so happy to encourage it. China's Christians can now worship freely so long as they choose a place like this, a state-registered church. Many still choose to worship in unregistered or underground settings. But I've stayed in Nanjing to see for myself what Christianity looks like when it's part of China's state-sanctioned Protestant church. It now has at least 20 million members, making it larger than the world's biggest Anglican church in Nigeria. It's 9 o'clock on Sunday morning at St Paul's Church in Nanjing, where the Chinese congregation have gathered, and there are so many of them that there are people standing in the churchyard outside to pray. St Paul's Church was built in the early part of the 20th century by Anglican missionaries, part of that wave of Western Christian expansion into China. Of course, then later it was closed under the Cultural Revolution, but now it's open again and thriving. And now the 30 or so people who are going to be baptised this morning have just stood up. As the candidates kneel at the front of the church, the pastor sprinkles water on their head and baptises them, as he says, in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. The people who've been baptised turn to face the rest of the congregation and sing a hymn describing their new Christian commitment. They look like a cross-section of Chinese society. The youngest is a teenager, the oldest perhaps in her 70s. For them all, it was clearly a very poignant moment. And we noticed one young woman who seemed particularly moved. Bella is a 24-year-old student in Nanjing.
I believe in Jesus Christ. He is the only true God, and I will never change. Even someone used a gun pointed at me, I will not change my words.
Can I ask you what your family think about what you've done today?
My father and mother against me very much, badly. It is an earthquake for them. So I pray to God, please save my family and let my parents know you. But the more they against, the more I'm sure about my belief. He is the true God. In fact, he gave me the courage to speak out.
But it's your faith that has helped you to cope with that.
Yes. China needs Jesus Christ's salvation. We need him. People need God because we are created by God.
Some critics say that state-sanctioned churches like St Paul's face so much government interference that their independence is inevitably compromised. The vicar of St Paul's Church, Keening Ping, is reluctant to discuss the sorts of regulation he has to deal with, but he points instead to the expansion his church has seen.
I witnessed our congregation from a few hundred people to today's 5,000 people. If our government really strictly limited the amount of people, amount of believers here, we wouldn't develop that fast.
The church has had a very difficult history. How confident can you be that the future will be a secure future for the church?
I think future definitely better than the past. From political point of view, I think government give us more and more space and give us more protection, freedom to the people who actually believe in Christianity. So in the old time, we have a saying, one more Christian, one less Chinese. But today, we have Chinese priests, we have Chinese theological schools, we have Chinese Bibles. So Chinese people today, they feel Christianity is not a foreign religion, it's a Chinese religion as well.
And the expanding influence of Christianity is even being felt in Chinese industry. I'm at a factory producing industrial valves in the private enterprise zone of Wenzhou, about an hour's flight south of Shanghai. And what makes this factory distinctive is the fact that it's run along Christian principles. But what does that mean in practice? The general manager, Fan Tianwo, is going to tell me.
You are Christian or not Christian, it's very different. If you're Christian, you have a much better heart. You're more kind to people, you're more honest. So like the people who are not Christians, they normally not responsible and they not do their work properly. I'm not saying those people who are not Christians would be irresponsible or all bad. I'm just saying from the percentage of the workers who are Christians, they seem to be more responsible. Also, when they do things wrong, they generally would feel guilty. That's the difference.
He tells me the staff are encouraged to attend a weekly Christian fellowship meeting and to pray about their work.
Generally speaking, I pray about 5 times a day. So morning and before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, and before I go to bed.
And do the senior managers here pray together about the business?
Because all the managers in this company were all relatives. So every Monday, we will pray together for good business.
And you very much hope to see more of the staff here becoming Christians?
Of course I do. I hope more and more our workers become Christians, and may the God bless us all.
We're just about to leave Wenzhou, and while on the surface our visit to the factory was straightforward, just 5 minutes after we'd arrived, the police rang to find out what we were doing. They kept on ringing, and by our final meeting, there were 2 police officers sitting in the next room, although they didn't ask us anything as we left. It had actually been very difficult to find a Christian factory owner who was willing to speak, even though the area is known for its Christian entrepreneurs. The authorities were clearly very nervous about our visit.